All right, today is Sunday and the marine plywood is supposed to arrive tomorrow, and I need to make room for it. And I'd also like to go ahead and build or start building the platform where I'm going to build the boat here in the garage. Now, I've been thinking about this as a table until recently, and it's really turning out to be more of just a very low platform. But anyway, we'll get to that in a bit. Right now, I need to move all of this cedar so I can get to the wood underneath to make the platform. And I cleared out some spot on the lumber cart, and I'm going to move that here and hopefully also have room to keep the marine plywood here when it arrives. Well, it's supposed to arrive tomorrow. I might be able to pick it up tomorrow or the day after. Whenever I have time, I'll go pick it up. But I think this is where I'm going to keep the marine plywood until I need it. All right, the western red cedar is stacked up on the lumber cart, and all of this is the lumber needed to build the table for the boat. All right, next is the tedious task of removing all of these labels. They each have a staple in them, and I even found some staples in the western red cedar. Now for this, I'm going to have to go through and search for these staples very carefully, because I'm probably going to want to saw these boards in half this way, and if there's staples there, I'd be cutting through the staples, and the saw would probably do it, but why have it hit metal when I don't have to? So I'm just going to use a screwdriver and a pair of needle nose pliers and go along and remove all of these staples. In order to build this platform, to build the boat, I know sometimes I keep calling it a table. It's going to be too short really to call it a table, so I'm going to try to refer to it as a platform. But I need the top of the platform to be as flat as possible. So what I need to do is I need to get these 2x6s perfectly straight along at least one of their edges, and I can do that with a hand plane, and that's how I've done it before. But I'll tell you, this garage is really hot. I'm not looking to spend a lot of time and effort planing these boards down. So today I got a Craftsman 6-inch jointer that I'm going to use. Unfortunately, it's a small jointer and it's rather low, and for these long boards I'm going to need some support at the end. So I could get some I could get some adjustable roller support stands to go on either end of this jointer, but then I'd also have to get some type of table for this as well. And then I got to thinking, well, I've got my miter saw. This is a Craftsman battery powered miter saw. It's a very small one, but I've got it mounted on this Hercules miter saw stand, and the miter saw stand comes with these rollers on either end. So I'm thinking I will take these bolts out that's holding the miter saw onto this stand and see if I can mount this Craftsman jointer on this stand, and then I've got the built-in rollers. So that is the plan. I'm going to see if I can get this hooked up. That worked out really well. The brackets are completely adjustable. I can loosen these 4 bolts, and I can slide whatever I'm mounting here. In this case it's the jointer. I can slide it backwards and forwards, and then I can also loosen these locks on the front and slide the entire thing to the left or the right. And yeah, this is a Hercules. It's actually a miter saw stand from Harbor Freight, and I think I'm gonna have to get another one for my miter saw, because these are just very useful, and I don't really want to be having to switch tools around like this. And this is going to let me also move this jointer around. It's got wheels on it, and the legs fold up so I can roll this tool around wherever I need. Now, the only problem that I noticed here is I need the rollers to be level with this table, and when I do this, they don't quite go up enough. There's a gap there, so I actually need the roller to be a little bit higher. That's as high as the roller will go. There's an adjustment screw right here that you turn, and then this whole roller assembly can go up and down. And at first I thought I was going to have to use, instead of the roller, there's a flip up bracket here, and with this in place I don't have the roller, but the wood can slide along this just this piece of metal here, and this actually is tall enough. That's what I thought I was going to have to do. I don't want to do that because I'm worried as I'm sliding the wood it might catch something and then pull this up, and that's no good. But then I noticed that the reason this won't go up anymore is because of this little screw right here. And what that is there for, it's a stop to prevent this entire roller assembly from being able to be pulled out of the bracket. Well, I only need this to be raised up just a little bit, so I'm going to remove that screw on each side and see if that lets me raise this up just the amount that I need. All right, that worked. I was able to remove that screw from the end of this bar in here, which let it go up just the amount that I need. And now the level is sitting on the roller, and it's perfectly flat with the table. And that's what we need. All right, so time to get started with jointing these boards and getting a flat surface on one side. I extended the arms on both the left and the right side all the way out on this Hercules miter saw stand, and I put a longer level on here just to check to make sure that when the support is all the way extended that it doesn't sag any, and it did, and I had to adjust it a little bit on this side. But that's one thing to consider, is adjust your heights based on how far the bar or the support rods are actually extended. Okay, before starting each board, one of the things I want to do is pick up the board and look down along the length of the board and see if there are any major bends in the board. I'm not really worried about the board curving this way. I'm worried about the board curving up and down. And when I build the frame on the floor, I'd rather have the board sitting steady like this. You can see I can push this board and it doesn't move. That's because there is a major bend in the board. If I turn this over the other way, and now you can see the board will actually rock. I can push this up and down. So that means that the board is bowed like this. And what I want to do is I'm going to plane this board this side so that I've got the board sitting sturdy on the ground, and I'm going to, before I start jointing it, I'm going to take some wood off of the middle and get it as straight as I can by eyesight before jointing the full length of the board. Okay, so this is on the side of the board that I'm not planing, which is good because I noticed that there was another staple in this board. So I'm really going to have to be careful and make sure to scan these boards very carefully because these staples seem to be everywhere. I've ran the board so far 2 passes through the planer, and no obvious wood has been taken off yet. I can hear it being taken off, but I'll continue making passes and show you what it looks like when I get this first board planed. All right, this is the side that I am planing, and as I turned it over to check, I noticed this little dot and this streak that came along the board, and I'm going to dig in that, maybe even here also. I'm going to dig in that with my needle nose pliers and see if that's actually another staple or not. There might be one hidden in there that the planer has been cutting off a little bit. It wasn't a full staple, but it might just be one piece that was just barely sticking out. All right, let me see what that is. All right, it turned out to just be a little rock, but it was good to get it out. I still don't want to be, trying to cut rocks with the blades, but this is starting to smooth this side of the board out along here, and it's not really touching the front yet. Maybe it just starts a little bit right in here, and it's been taking some of the wood down along here up to about here or so, and then after this, again, it's not really doing anything yet. So that's what we want. We want to take this part of the board right here out, and later we'll be able to cut an entire length. When I can hear the blades taking wood out along the entire length of the board, then it should be straight. All right, let me keep going. All right, I have the board leaning up against the stand right now, and I'll try to bring the camera down, and what we want to see is as straight of an edge along this side that I've been planing as possible. Now when I put my long straight edge on there, I still feel a bow in the middle. It's bowing out, and I think that's because these rollers that are built into the stand flex a bit. They actually bend down. So while convenient for a heavy board like this is a 2x6 treated 10-foot long board, I don't think, at least I think this is the 10-foot. This might only be an 8-foot. I forget now whether this is an 8 or a 10-foot, but it's a long, heavy board. It's treated, so it's even heavier, and it's just I think it's just causing these outer rollers to flex too much just because of the weight, and I'm not able to get a accurate, perfectly straight plane along that. It's close, it's real close, but it's not exact. And I think what I'll try maybe one of these days, maybe tomorrow, is to stop by the home improvement store and pick up some roller stands that are adjustable, that would sit out here on the floor, and get something that is rigid, that won't be flexing up and down as I move the board across it. And I think that will probably give a lot better results. But the jointer is working really well. It's just, I think the stand that I have on needs to be more rigid, or have more rigid rollers out there. So what I might do is put these rollers, move these rollers in a bit, and then get some external, more rigid rollers to put out here, and then I would have 2 rollers on each side, and I think that might even be even better. So I'll go ahead and end the video here, and probably go ahead and publish this, and continue with another video where I can actually get all this planed. So in a way, this is kind of a test run here to see how it's going to work, and it almost works. All right, that's enough for now. Bye.